is January 6th, 2026. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope your new year is off to a great start. It is that time of year where we're all just kind of spinning our wheels and trying to figure out, like, what are we going to do this year? What's our plan? Are we going to set some resolutions, some goals, that kind of thing? But don't fret, my friends. If you are already not doing your resolution or not following your plan for 2026, you still have 51 weeks after this week to do that. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. Every day is a new day. So happy New Year. Hello, Thaisa. Thank you for being here today. Monique, hello. Francie and Casey, hello. It is January 6th. Yes, we are well into the first week of the first month of 2026. I hope everybody is doing well. Welcome to everybody joining in today. Hi, Jan T. Hi, Zach. So good to see you guys. Say hello if you're here. Tell me, are you guys doing New Year's resolutions? Are you doing goals? Or are you just kind of saying, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna do the year and not say anything specific about what's happening. Tell me, what are you doing? Inquiring minds want to know. Let's see who else is here. Michelle is here. Michelle says no resolutions here, and as she has already completed it. Find and get book storage. Okay, Michelle, that sounds interesting and intriguing. You must have a lot of books. That's exciting. You're probably going to do a lot of reading then this year, I'm guessing. Hi, Maria. Hi, Carol, Texas, Tracy. Tanya's here. Jane from Long Island, hello. Chris is here. Mimi from Cambridge, Massachusetts. Kathleen from Delray Beach, Florida. Dee from Miami. Let's see who else. Jennifer from Aliso Viejo. I don't know where that is, but that sounds beautiful. Francie says no resolutions, goals, and manifestations. Okay, good. Chris says no resolutions. Jan's gonna wing it. I like you, Jan. I hear you. I feel you. Kathleen says she has a list to remind her. That's good. I like that. Texas Tracy, no resolutions. Sandra from Indiana. North Carolina is in the house. Hi, Netta. Santa Barbara girl. Jane is saying hello. Marla says she's cleaning her craft room. I did a little bit of that over the weekend. I got some control, at least over what was on the floor. No, that was a good start for me. Ellen says her new decision fell apart rapidly, but she's still going to pursue it. Ellen, you have 51 and like a few more, like 51 and a half weeks. Like, you can do this. You can do this. Kathleen says she has a list. Getting Santa Barbara girl, getting finances much better. That's excellent. Let's see what else. Catching up to the bottom of the comments here. Organizing. Jane is organizing her beads. That's a great goal for the year. Teresa wants more hobby time. Yes, Teresa, I support you in that endeavor. Terry just wants to enjoy her retirement. Girl, you go get that. You go get it. Cynthia, you can't hear me. Maybe go out and come back in. I think others are hearing me. Let's see. Okay. Thank you, Zach. I made these quite a while back. I think these are all sold out, but yeah. So you guys, just a little bit of a reminder, if you're watching at beadaholique.com/live, that's the best place to watch because we can talk to each other so we can see each other's comments. We can chit chat back and forth. You can talk to me and to Thaisa, who are here today, and Michelle. They are helping out today. So yeah, so you can chit chat with us and you can shop the show. Now, everything at Beadaholique.com is 50% off right now. So we are in closing sale mode, and you guys have shopped. Like, you have shopped. All the tools are gone. All the wire is gone. A lot of the findings are gone, like a lot. But we still have beads and beautiful things to work with. So Julie and I are doing our best to put together these shows and make sure that we can put those things into the show. But know that that shopping bag that's on your screen at beadaholique.com/live has as much as I could put in there. And some things, like some extra things, and if some of those things are sold out, which they could be by now. I put the show in last week, so there's a possibility something is sold out. So be patient with us because we're in a closing sale situation, but you can take advantage of 50% off of everything, which is super cool. So there's a silver lining to everything. So I'm going to do something fun today. I'm going to flip the camera down. Let me make sure my other light is on here. And let me flip down to my table. So this doesn't look super interesting, but I want to show you what we're going to do today. Before I show you the beads, I want to show you what we're going to do today. Now, these beads are sold out. They are not available, but this is an example of what we're going to do today. So last week, Julie Bean's show, she did a double-stranded bracelet, but she did a lot of cool things with beading wire. And she showed you some really fun techniques. I was crazy about what she put together. And I had already planned a double-stranded bracelet project myself, but I'm going in a different direction. So I'm going to incorporate a stringing technique as well as a little bit of wire work. Now, these are all basic wire work and basic stringing techniques, but it comes together for a super fun and interesting design. So I want you guys to see the possibilities of taking simple design techniques and upping your game, bringing them together and creating something interesting and unique. So this is a technique that I've been in love with, very much obsessed with of late. And this is so much fun to do. And it's all about putting different beads together and creating a cool statement piece. So this piece, again, all of these beads are not available. They are sold out, but I wanted to show you this as one example. This is all gemstones. So I've got some rhodochrosite and some pyrite and some demi rounds in here. So this is one example. But this bracelet I'm wearing is kind of a wild and crazy version of this bracelet. So this may not be everybody's cup of tea, but this is it's the same exact technique, doing the same exact thing, but it's an absolutely crazy different dynamic because of the movement of the beads involved here, the colors. It's just really, really fun. So let me take this off so I can show it to you a little bit differently. So it's double-stranded, and it is a combination of 3 beads. One, a seed bead, which is, just a simple silver lined seed bead, which I think is also sold out. But these 2 beads were available as of the time that I put this show into our system so we could get this live for today. So let me show you these beads. This is a statement bracelet to the nth degree. So there's 2 main beads, and I'll show you these. You can get a 25 piece set of these, and these are gorgeous. They are check glass. They're a chunky diamond shape, and they're a combination of crystal and amethyst. So they are super, super cool. And each bead is a little bit different. So some of them have a little more purple. Some of them have a little bit more crystal. So they're just really beautiful. They are 14 millimeter and they are square or diamond, depending on how you orient them, but they are drilled on the diagonal. So they will be strung on in a diamond shape. So these are really cool beads and they're nice and chunky and they feel good and sound good. And I love the combination of these with a green. And I wanted to create one sample for you that had this sort of wild and crazy vibe. And that wild and crazy vibe came to life with these cool beads. So I wanted green, I wanted wild and crazy, and I found these. These are check flat triangle drops in 3.5 millimeter, no, 3 by 12 millimeter. And they're green with kind of a black to them. Now, I think it's just to me, it looks more like shades of green. Like it goes from a light green to a dark green. Thank you for the hearts, you guys. So this to me looks like malachite. So last week we made some earrings with some charms that had a genuine piece of malachite in them. These are check glass, but they sure look like malachite. And malachite is a gemstone that is very expensive, typically very, very pricey. So you can get the look of malachite with these check glass little dagger drops. And they are drilled up top, so you can do all kinds of things with these. You can wire wrap them. You can put a jump ring on them. You could do all like little dangles with these beautiful little triangles. So they are so much fun. This is just really a beautiful, fun bead. So what I used them for is to create some cool movement and a cool combination of beads. So we've got these clear, sort of transparent beads. And then we've got these opaque beads in, a different color. And the combination of the purple and the green and the texture of these is just super, super interesting. Cynthia's asking, do you ever do Swarovski's beads? So Swarovski is no longer selling beads. The brand is now Prestige. And there are some vintage Swarovskis hanging around out there in the world. There are Prestige beads, Prestige crystals and Prestige pearls and things available. So if you want to do a search for those at Beadaholique.com, you can find those beautiful beads. There are lots of options available, lots of colors. So, and they would look beautiful in this kind of a design. So, hi, Zach. Zach is saying hello to all her friends. I'm so glad to see you, Zach. Now, other options for you. We're going to use these beads over here. I'll show you those in a minute. But I wanted to show you this combination. If we have time, I might try to put this together too. This is gorgeous. So I love, love, love that these are a Montana blue. Montana blue is always a very popular bead color. And this is check glass fire polish in 10 millimeter. These are huge fire polish beads. So I think a lot of times people associate fire polish beads with like a 4 millimeter or like a 2 millimeter, maybe a 3 millimeter, but these are 10 and they're chunky and delicious. And this color is divine. Now, if you want to go with kind of that real cool, different textures, different colors, contrasting looks, you could also pull out these check glass drucks that are 8 millimeter pink opal. This color, this bead is so delicious. So even if I don't use these today, I'm encouraging you guys to get these home to you because they are absolutely beautiful beads. You don't have to use them together. They could be used for different things, but this combo to me it's just luscious. Both beads standing on alone on their own are gorgeous, but then when you put them together, there's just something magical about it. Angie, I agree. The color combo is just really interesting and fun. So I was watching a show or a video about jewelry trends. So I'm putting together a little something about jewelry trends. And one thing that I saw was that beads are back and that beaded necklaces, beaded jewelry are, it's back. Now, for us, it never left, right? We have never stopped with the beaded jewelry. But I'll tell you, one of the things they highlighted was contrasting colors or color combinations that you wouldn't expect. So you might not expect this, but look at it. It's magic. So I wanted to show you those, but we're going to work with some colors that really jive together. And we're going to go with a more wearable design. So this is kind of for someone who wants to go statement, wants to go a little extra. You guys probably know by now, I like the weird, the crazy, the statement kinds of things. So this one really sings to me. But the design we're going to make here is just super easy peasy, wearable, a color combination that might be a little more soothing. And this is just a gorgeous trio of beads. Let's talk about those before we make. So this strand is a check round in 8mm. It is a Color Trends, and it is saturated metallic Ceylon yellow. Now, I'll always tell you what I think. This to me does not really look yellow. This is more of a gold tone to me. It definitely is metallic, but it's a more gold tone. And it is a little bit yellowish on the yellow side, but it is very much a gold tone. So I love that one. I thought it would pair nicely with these two other colors. So this one is also an 8mm. It is Milky Pink Moon Dust. Now this one, in my view, comes across more purple. But it's got that really cool kind of finish on it that makes it look mystical. I'm going to actually pull this out of the way, see if I can get the color to show up a little bit better. It is gorgeous. And this last one this one is really cool. This is Suede Gold Medium Amethyst, and it's also 8mm. It is also check round. So all three of these beads are the same size, but they are each different. So they have different finishes and different looks to them, but they go so beautifully together. So two things on their side. One is that they are all the same size. And another thing is that they are all just beautifully complementary. I agree with you, Pat. It's a cool combination, beautiful, beautiful set of beads. So we're going to work with these. I'm going to cut these strands open and I'm going to separate them out on my table here. And each one of these strands should be plenty for a double-stranded bracelet. And I am going to be using some seed beads. So let me pull out all of my little plastic strands here. I'm going to be using some seed beads. That also helps you kind of extend your design and creates dimension, gives you some more metallic. This is bronze, antique bronze. And I've used these so much that I'm wearing off the packaging, but it is an 11.0, I think. Maybe it's 15-0. I'm going to use 15s, but you can certainly use 11s if you would like. It will work either way. You'll just have to adjust the number of beads based on the sizing of, of your bracelet and your other beads. What is the fashion color for 2026? So if you follow Pantone, Kathy B, it is Cloud Dancer, which is a white, which shocked the world, shocked the fashion world, and shocked the jewelry world. I think you either love it or hate it. I was surprised by it, but I'll tell you what, I love a challenge. So I think the messaging that goes along with the Cloud Dancer, go to Pantone.com. And you'll see their little story around it, and you will really like the message. It's a cool message. All right, I've got some 19 strand beading wire. This is not available, I don't think. I believe pretty much all of the wire is gone at this point. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with, I'm going to take some of the suede gold color beads, and I just need to get my bearings here of putting these together. And I'm going to put on 3 of the seed beads, and then I'm going to take one of these lighter color amethyst beads, and I'm going to do a pattern of every other bead. So I know, and you know what, now that I'm looking at these beads, these look a little bit bigger, but they both say 8mm. Interesting. Did I put in, yeah, they all say 8mm. The lighter color bead does look a little bit bigger to me for some reason. So I'm going to do an every other bead to get us started. And 3 of these seed beads in between. Again, I'm working with 15s. I know some of you really probably don't want to go 15 because they are so tiny. And there's a piece of cat hair right there. That's free. That cat hair is free. Good thing I'm not sending you beads, because you'd have all kinds of cat hair in your package. So that is pretty cool. That color combo is beautiful. So I'm going to do one more gold bead here. Let me get these seed beads on. Oops. And these are tricky. And I always put lotion on my hands before the show. And that usually means it's a lot harder for me to get beads onto beading wire as I'm getting going. So Santa Barbara girl, you like this combo? So, okay. So I'm going to get started here. Now, I'm going to set this kind of off to the side, because what I want to do next, and you can do your little connections ahead of time. So you don't necessarily have to start stringing and then make your beaded links. But it's up to you. When I'm kind of designing on the fly, I will string and then make links, and I kind of figure out what I'm doing as I go. But I'm going to cut off a little section of wire. This is probably more than you need. This looks like about 3.5 inches. And this is 22 gauge wire. I think 22 gauge is a really good gauge for your beaded links. So when I'm talking about beaded links, I'll show you on this piece. I'm talking about these beads. So these are beaded links here. And the 22 gauge is nice and easy to work with, but it's also a stiff enough wire that it's going to make a nice solid link for you. And we're not making long links that give the link opportunity to move around. So Santa Barbara Girl says, look at Cloud Dancer as just a blending color for the other pastels. I'm anxious to use it. Yeah, it is a great neutral. And it is a great like luminous kind of color. Think of moonstone. Think of like a crystal, like a rock crystal or something like that. A crystal seed bead. There's lots of white or clear beads that we use as jewelry makers now and love, and that falls right into Cloud Dancer. So I'm going to create one link, and I'm going to get one wire wrap loop on my wire, and I'm going to trim off my excess, and I'm going to come in with my chain nose. If I can hold on to this wire wants to do its own thing. Sometimes it's a little easier to get a bead on. So I'm going to put a bead on here like this. And then I'm going to hold that bead up to my wrapped loop there. And then I'm going to straighten out my loop and then tuck in that little piece of wire. Okay. And sometimes it has a mind of its own. All right. So now I've got half of my link done. And then I'm going to come around to the other side, and I'm going to do another wrapped loop. And I want my loops to be as close to the same size as possible, and with the same number of loops or wraps as possible. And so I'm going to come down, trim off my excess, and then I'm going to come in and tuck in that trimmed off piece, straighten out my links. Now, the thing about a round bead as your link here is you don't have to worry about the way that your links are oriented. So this bead is flat on two sides. So you obviously want to make sure if you're using a bead of an odd shape that your loops are in a way that will orient that you can slide your beading wire through them. With a round bead, you don't have to be as particular because the bead is the same all the way around. So I'm going to do 5 of these loops or these links. So I'm going to cut, I've got just this little piece of wire here I'm working from, and then I'll start working from my packaging. So I've just got my round nose pliers. I'm going to create a loop at one end. And I know that my wire wrap loops are a little bit weird, but that's how I do them. That's how I know how to make them. So I'm going to get my loop. Now you could do simple loops, but I will warn you that on a bracelet and in that format, so in the center, if you've got, if your bracelet has links like that, and the loops are not closed really well, you may be in jeopardy of that piece coming apart. But if you've got really good solid, simple loops, you might be able to make that work. But I like a wire wrap loop here because you're not going to lose these off of your piece, and it's not going to create, some instability in your piece. You've got loops that are all secured, and they will stay on your wire. So we've got these 2 links to get us started, and I'm noticing this guy is a little bit wonky, so I'm going to straighten that out. I did put in the shopping bag some eye pins. There were some eye pins available. Now, if you are adventurous and want to try your simple loops at one end, you could use an eye pin to start your piece, and then you could add your bead and then do a simple loop on the other side. That is another way to make this happen, if you're interested in doing that. So there are some eye pins. There were some, there's not head there. I don't think there are any head pins available. But there were some eye pins. So I put those in the shopping bag. And you guys, if you've never shopped while you watch, if you're watching at beadaholique.com/live, you should have a shopping bag icon on your screen. You can click on that while you watch. I don't go away. I just get smaller on the screen. And you can still hear me and see me. So I've got 3 links going. Now, when you're putting something like this together, you can think about how many links you want. You could do links the whole length of this bracelet. That would be one design. You could do 1 link in the center. You could do 3, you could do 5, you could do however many you would like. So when you're thinking about your design, you can think about what might work the best. And you can use different size beads, as I showed you here, different shapes. Here's another example here. This one is rondelles and rounds. These are quite a bit larger than the rondelles, and these are really different shapes. So you just need to make sure that they will work together. They all will come together. You've got the right spacing so that they don't, kind of encroach on each other. So let me get rid of my little scraps before I move on here. And I've got my wire, my craft wire off to the side. And as I said, I'm using a 22 gauge. I really like 22 gauge for this technique for creating these links. And Jane says, great idea, Deb. Going to try this. Yeah, this is not like a miraculous design. I mean, people have been doing this, but it's, it's the kind of thing that you can make a great design because of what you put together. And, you can make little design differences from someone else by the beads you choose and by the spacing that you choose. And simple yet elegant. This is, so you guys, don't ever let anybody tell you that a stringing design or a simple wire wrapped design is not cool and is not a great design, because it's all about how you put it together. It's about the little extra touches. It's about how you finish it. It's about the beads you use. So you could make something with some beads that maybe they're not your favorite beads, and maybe they're not the most luminous beads in the world, but then you take a different set of beads and do the exact same thing, and look, you've got an incredible piece of jewelry. So don't ever let anybody tell you, oh, it's just a stringing design, or it's just a little wire wrapped piece. Well, if you put the things together right, if you put them together in such a way that they all, come together beautifully and it's finished nicely, then guess what? You've got an incredible piece of jewelry. So I believe even the simplest of techniques, can make the most amazing piece of jewelry. So that's the message I like to give folks, is elevate your designs by the little extra touches, by the beads you choose, by maybe taking that simple technique and just going up a level, just one level, because this is a simple stringing project with 2 strands coming together and a little bit of wire work with it, right? So we want to elevate this design a little bit. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing here. We're just going to elevate this. So I'm making my last link here, and I usually get a little sloppier with my links as I go. You probably see that. But I am just going to straighten everything out. Sometimes too, if your loop is just a little bit wonky, you can give it a little bit of a twist, and you can push that little piece of wire down. And you can even, so 22 gauge wire, you can still manipulate with your hands. Maybe if you've got some hand strength issues, you maybe can't do that. So you can always grab another plier. So if you want to straighten out your loops, you can grab your pliers and just kind of straighten them out this way and get them going in the same direction. So these can be used in a ton of different ways. This is like the same kind of technique you might use to create a beaded chain. So if you want to connect all of these together, you can connect them as you go, or you can connect them with jump rings. These are the same kinds of things you might create to create an earring. So you might create a little link and then attach a charm to the bottom. And then this goes into your ear wire. So this is nothing new if you've been doing wire wrap loops or creating links for a long time. This is, this is not super different than just creating one of those other kinds of things with a link. So I'm going to go back to my piece here, and what I'm going to do for the link section. So I am still working from the package because I don't know yet how many beads I need on either side of my focal section. I'm using my links as my focal section. So I'm going to keep my first strand attached to the package. So over off to my right, I've got my package over here. So for the links, I'm going to start putting the links on, and I'm just going to put one seed bead there. So I've got one seed bead sitting there, and I'm going to pop on my first link. And that seed bead is probably going to, so that loop of my link is probably going to go over that seed bead. And let me just pop on another one of these beads, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I just want enough space for that beaded link to move around. Now, if I was using 11 O's, I would do 2 beads in between, and I would position that loop in between the 2 seed beads. So, but in this case, I want to kind of switch up the look a little bit, and notice that my link moves here. So all of these beads being about the same size, and with my little 3 wraps of wire, it's allowing my my little link to move. That's what you want. You don't want them all crunched up together. That just isn't going to be great. So I'm going to put on my next link, and the next test you'll have is, I got to straighten that one out a little bit. The next test you'll have is, do these 2 beads bump up against each other? And in this case, they do not. So I'm good to separate only with 1 bead. But if you're working with different beads, different shapes, if you're picking up some different beads today, that's what you'll have to test out. You'll have to test out if you can, just put 1 bead in between, or if you need more spacing, more seed beads, a different combination of beads in the center. So just something for you to make sure you think about as you put something like this together. So I'm just going to drop this on here really quick, and I want to straighten these out just a little bit more. They're kind of bugging me just a little bit more. And then I've got 3 more of these. So let me take that off, and I'm going to put the next one on, and then I'm going to put on another one of the gold beads, and then 1 more seed bead here, and my next link. And then another gold bead and another seed bead. And you see, guys, how this is coming together. It's really a beautiful combination of beads. I am loving purple right now. So here's our little focal section. So we've got some spacing in the bracelet up to this point, and then this little combination here in the center. They do look fabulous together, Francie. When I opened up the package, so, my vision was this, but until you open up and see the beads in person, sometimes you don't know if it's going to work out the way that you planned. And these beads look delicious together. They just look delicious. So I'm going back to 3 seed beads now that I've got my little focal section there. And again, you guys, that's where you can separate yourself, is think of the different combinations here. Think of your spacing. Think of creating that dimension. What possibilities you've got are really endless. So I'm going to put the same pattern together as I did at the other end. And let's see, got another one of these guys. And let's see, 1, 2. So I've got 2 of each over here. I think I'm going to need more beads, but let me do a fit check really quickly. And that's the beauty of when you're working from your package on the first strand. You've got, some opportunity to still work with this. So I'm going to this is what I like to do when I'm working from the package, is I'll put my bead stopper on one end and then on the other end. And then I'm going to do a check. And I've got a ways to go here. I can put more beads on. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go a little bit further on this side, still not cutting from my package. So just going to put on, I'm thinking I'm probably going to need 3 more beads. So let's take those beads and get them on. Maybe 2. I'm going to see. I'm going to put 2 on to start with. And I'm doing those 3 seed beads in between. And I'm going to put my stopper back on over here. And I'm going to kind of see how that lays. So I do think 2 more beads is just right. So I'm going to leave myself a little bit of room, a little bit of extra wire at this end. And then I've got my other end still attached to the package. And I'm going to give myself about the same amount and then some, because I'm going to add beads. So at this end, I'm going to add 2 more beads. So let's go like this. And this is all a process. So if you are not making this exact bracelet or using these exact sizes of beads, you'll have to play around a little bit. Get everything out on your table and just, figure it out as you go. Because each one, each style of bead, size of bead, could potentially change up the sizing and it will definitely change up the look. So let me grab my last bead, my last seed bead on there, and then this guy. Put that stopper back on, and then let's see how this is going to look. So it actually might be 1 bead too long, but I'm going to leave those 2 beads on, and we're going to now finish the other side. So double-stranded bracelet, and I've got this whole side ready to go. So now I know what I'm doing, so I don't necessarily have to start, in any particular place, but I'm still going to work from the spool. That gives me a better chance of not overusing wire too much. So I'm going to put on my gold bead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I'm going to use all but one of these beads. I just wondered if, oh my gosh, am I going to run out of these gold beads? I didn't count. I didn't get 2 strands. I only got 1. So, and I've got fewer of these on the design. And I love the look of this bronze. Now, but this would also work with like a brighter gold. So if you see the wire I'm working with is more of a bright gold. And if you're curious, I'm working with artistic wire from Beadaholique. So even though that's not in stock, just so you know, that's what I'm working with. And it is a 22 gauge in case you're just joining. That's what I use to create those links in the center. And sorry for my reach. I probably could have moved those beads a little bit closer. So let's see here. Getting on these seed beads. That's the hardest part here, is getting those seed beads on, because they're tiny. And again, you can use different sizes depending on what you're comfortable with and what you like and what you want. And you can use as many of them as you would like in between. Maybe you want a longer space in between your beads. That's always acceptable to do that too. And let me grab one more of these. All right, so here's my pattern. Now I can start the focal section. And I just need 3 more seed beads and then a gold bead. And I'll show you how to work through that center piece. So we already have all of our links on. So all we're going to do now is we're going to take this side, and I'm going to add 1 seed bead, because remember we went from 3 to 1. We made sure that all of our beads are not going to bump into each other too much. And I'm going to take that 1 bead, that 1 seed bead, and then go through my link. So let me see if I can show you that. So I went through my link just like that. Easy peasy. And then I'm going to pick up my next bead. That's going to go in between the link. And then 1 seed bead, and then pull my next link over. And if you can do it this way, let me show you in 1 second here. If you can keep your links over on this side, so flip them over and then flip them over as you add them. That's probably the easiest way to do it, so they're not getting in your way as you work through getting this done. So putting on the next bead, putting on the next seed bead, and then I'm going to flip that next link over and put that on, and then add the next bead, the next seed bead. And I did just kink my wire a little bit. It's easier if you don't have so much wire. I'm going to pull my wire back, because I did kink that a little bit. So let me I've got something over here on the side that's in the way. So then I'm going to pull my link over. It's much easier if you have less wire over here. So I was making things harder on myself. But you can add your next bead, add your next seed bead, and see if I can get that last seed bead on there. Add your next link. And now we've got that whole middle section all together. So let me pull this out. I'm going to show you this a little bit closer up. Let's just put this last little the center point bead on so you can see that full section. So isn't that cool? And it moves nicely. It's going to be a nice fluid movement. And like I said, you guys, if you're creating this kind of a piece, easy stringing, easy wire work, But what you do with it is what's going to make the difference. So if you want to use some really funky beads, you want to use some really interesting shapes, you want to do your color combos in a certain way, you want to do your spacing differently. I mean, the options are really, really endless here. Terry's saying, question, if you put a super duo between each two beads rather than a seed bead, might it fill in the space? So a super duo, at least in this case, Terry, is like a lot smaller. So I don't think it would work. It would crunch up the beads too much, but you could do a super duo in like a super duo style bracelet with smaller beads. And that would make kind of the same effect, just a smaller scale. But super duos in this case, I think would pull these beads in too close because they're much smaller in scale. But you could always try it. Maybe there's some way that it could work nicely. If you don't like this amount of spacing here, you could just do less seed beads in there. You could do one seed bead like like this section here, but that's where the design comes in, is you design whatever you like and the pattern that you like and the number of links that you like and the number of spacer beads you like. I'm using the seed beads as kind of a spacer here. And if you have more of the, of the gold beads in this case, you could do, more of those. You could even do, all one color along the outside of this bracelet too. So you could do all of the lighter purple instead of the gold, or all gold. Just, the options are endless. Endless. Okay, putting on my last bead here. So this is how it's looking. So I'm going to pull my wire down. I'm going to pull it over a little bit because I'm still attached to the package over here. And I'm going to put another bead stopper on. So however you do your bead stoppers, you'll want to make sure you've got the ability to do, 4 stoppers, because you've got 2 strands, basically 4 ends that you're working with. So I'm going to trim off this guy and then put another stopper on. I absolutely love this combination and I love this design. So look at that. So cool. And you guys, again, you could take this all the way around. I mean, there's just so many options. So this is actually, I think, maybe it might be just a hair too big, but I'm going to go with that. Because I'm going to use a toggle clasp here. So unfortunately, clasps are sold out, largely sold out. So I am going to use a toggle clasp. We are coming to the end of our time, so I'm going to show you how I do this instead of putting together this design as well. But I want to remind you too, this combination of beads is also available in the shopping bag. So if you like this combo too, there's all kinds of fun things you could do with this. You could use the larger beads as your focal in the center like this. So this toggle is not available. And this is actually, I have a bunch of these kind of junky, vintagey looking toggles. I did not get them from Beadaholique. I've just had those in my stash. And what I'm going to do, you could use a 2-hole or a 2-strand toggle or a 2-strand closure of some type. But you can also still use a regular toggle if you've got 2 strands. So this is what I do. And I'm going to find my crimps. So I'm using a 19 strand beading wire from Beadaholique, and your Beadaholique packaging is going to tell you which size crimp tubes you can use. And in this case, it's size 2 crimp tube, and you need 4 of them. So you need 4 for this design. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out of the way. I'm going to work one at a time here. And I'm going to grab my crimp tube. I'm going to put that on. Now, I could use some French wire here, which is typically what I do for most designs. But sometimes when you're working with a toggle, using 2 strands of the, gosh, why am I struggling? Of the French wire, sorry. The 2 strands of the French wire actually may not fit through. And I did do a design the other day and found that 2 beading strand wires with French wire over them did not fit through this toggle. And this is perfectly acceptable. I love a good French wire to cover up my wire ends, but you don't have to do that. This is beautiful matching kind of wire. So I'm gonna go through my toggle, and I'm going to create a loop. And you want a loop that is big enough that it's going to allow your toggle to move around. You never want to pull this completely tight, because you want this toggle to have movement. So I'm going to put my crimp into the first channel in the crimping pliers. I'm going to turn my piece so that the crimp is going in the other direction. I'm going to come up into that other channel, and I'm going to create that first crimp. And I sometimes come back and I just grab my crimp with the tip of my crimping pliers just to give it one extra little nudge. And now my toggle is attached to the first side. I'm going to pull my wire back. I'm going to take my cutter and I'm going to cut right up against that bead. And then I'm going to do the other side. I'm going to do the other side of the bracelet here to attach. Santa Barbara Girl says, I mean, use 2 jump rings separately, crimp onto each jump ring. You could do that if you want. That's a perfectly acceptable method too. So I think what you're saying, Santa Barbara Girl, is attach your strand here to a jump ring, attach your strand here to a jump ring, and then attach your jump rings to your toggle. That is absolutely another way that you can do this. That's not typically how I do it, but there are so many different ways to do things. So you can do it however you are comfortable. Oops, I hit my camera here. Sorry about that. So I've got my second crimp tube. I'm still working this side. So I'm going to take my next strand and I'm going to put that through the toggle. And then I'm going to take my wire and go through that crimp tube and down into that first bead. And I'm going to hold on to my toggle end and pull my wire down. And I'm going to get that just about the same size as my other loop. I'm going to hold on to that. And I take my crimp, drop it into that back channel, and then front channel. And I know I've got a space there, which I'm going to fix by working on the other end of this piece. I'm going to bend my wire back, trim off my excess. Now, what you want to do is get all of that slack out. So you want to take all of those beads, make sure they're all pressed down, but you don't want to crimp in a straight line. Anytime you're doing things too rigidly, your piece isn't going to have good movement. It isn't going to have, lots of flexibility. So you want to keep things kind of fluid. So I know that gravity pulled all of that out. And now I'm going to take my piece and I'm going to grab one side and grab my other crimp tube. And I'm going to grab the other end of my toggle. And I always like to do the bar first. I think for me, I don't know, that's just the harder one. Sometimes you can get your toggle bar caught up in your wire in the crimping process. So I'm going to pull that guy, and I want to make sure that I get that crimp down close to the bead. I'm holding onto my wire, I'm holding onto my toggle, and I'm looking to see that I've got enough room for my toggle to move around. I'm going to put my crimping pliers onto my crimp, turn that crimp, and crimp the other side. Then I'm going to trim off my excess here. And then I'm going to make sure my slack is out again, but keeping this piece curved. And get that excess piece out of the way. And something I should have done before I started doing this is get those seed beads out of the way, because most of the time what I end up doing is spilling those seed beads everywhere or flipping them everywhere as I do this. I'm going to come up through the toggle with the other strand, and I'm going to put that through the crimp and through that first bead. And again, I'm going to pull both. I'm going to pull my wire and pull my toggle. And I want that to be just good so that it has movement. I'm going to come in and crimp both sides or both ways, and then pull my wire away, trim off my excess, and move my bead stoppers out of the way. And now you'll see that these two beads over here at the ends are going to come together. That's okay. But look at what you've got. You've got a gorgeous double strand bracelet with links. And this is just such a fun way to create a bracelet, because you can do so many different things. Look at the colors. Look at this focal section. It has great movement, but it also kind of looks like a beaded section that's all together. So, Monica, you're going to have to watch the replay. We made this double-stranded bracelet today with links. Monica, these are wire wrapped links. So just simple wire wrapping and beading technique, stringing technique. But when you bring them together, you've got this fun bracelet. And here's another example. So I'll show you these all up close on my wrist. So here's the one we just made. This is a sample. These beads are not available, but this is a gemstone version with rondelles and a larger 10 millimeter, maybe even a 12 millimeter round bead. And then the wild and crazy bead version, I'll take that one away. These beads are available, but you've got these two-tone glass beads and then these cool little like triangle beads. So all very different looking bracelets, but all of the same technique. So, I love this bracelet. I love this technique. And guys, this is easy. So if you've never done this, get some 22 gauge wire. So it's not available. It's sold out at Beadaholique.com, but get yourself some 22 gauge wire. Get yourself a clasp. Get yourself some stringing wire. If you like 19 strand, 7 strand, 49 strand, get whatever you would like. They are rhodonite, Santa Barbara Girl. They're not available or sold out, but get yourself some seed beads. You pick 15s, 11s, whatever you like, and then pick out some glorious beads, and you can make these beautiful links. Super easy, but such big impact. This bracelet I'm going to be wearing today and tomorrow, and I don't know, maybe for the next year. I think this is such a pretty piece. big impact. And you guys, before you go, make sure that you check out of your carts because everything is 50% off. The store is closing. These things are not coming back. So make sure you get the beautiful things that you want and that they don't run away from you, get swiped out of your cart. Thank you so much, Angie. And thank you so much, Ellen. You guys, thanks for being here. We have 51 more weeks of 2026. So let's make them all good. Let's see. It is Tuesday. So Julie will be here Thursday morning with her weekly Thursday show. She will also be back next Monday afternoon. I'll be here next Tuesday. We've got so many fun things to share with you guys, and we hope that you will continue to shop the 50% off sale at Beadaholique.com. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you guys. Thank you, Dee. I'll see you all soon, and I hope you go and make something this week. All right, you guys. Bye now.